Trying to find your dream person in 2025 is hard enough as it is, let alone just trying to find someone who's respectable, honorable, and someone that you enjoy dating, who doesn't drive you crazy. And it's a huge issue that I constantly hear about, whether it's online, through all kind of just women's spaces, men this, men that, men suck, men are failing, all these things. And we're going to get into the real issue, the real reason why you're unable to find your dream guy, your dream man, however you want to have it right there. The person that you close your eyes, you visualize, you imagine, the qualities, the traits, all that stuff right there, the embodiment of that. How do you find them? Where do you find them? And why are you unable to right now? So let's dive in here. Obviously, we have some issues with just kind of how men are growing up, men's upbringing, this generation overall. But I'm going to maybe ruffle some feathers here. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of times the issue is actually you. And I don't mean that you're a bad person. If you're wondering and you're dreaming for your dream person and you're caring enough to, envision that, that says enough about you right there. That means that, you have that interest in building something meaningful and a happy relationship. So I get that vibe. However, though, it's not that you're necessarily a bad person. It's that you are almost too good to an extent. You are too empathetic, you are too sympathetic, and you are too willing to extend that arm of care to someone who is not deserving of it, okay? And that's what the problem is that you are willing to settle. And I'll hear these things, but me as a man, I will immediately hear red flags or see red flags. And I think it really is just that some guys intentionally or unintentionally can just play on women's emotions very well and just use them to get what they want out of them in their own way. But I think the way that guys do it is they know almost going into it that a lot of girls have this thing in their mind where they believe they can fix someone. And that is the issue that I'm talking to you about, is that I think that you yourself are willing to settle because you think you can fix someone. You think you can have them long enough and you can work on their traits and the things that you don't like, and then you can just gloss this over and they'll change. But they won't just change for no reason. They'll change because of you, and they'll change for you. You confuse the comfort and the history with compatibility. It's like you think just because I'm with you for long enough that we will fall in love. We'll have this great story. But I think the easiest thing with love, the easiest thing with relationships that we can break down right now and just quite simply say is that if it sucks in the beginning, or if there are hardships in the beginning, or if there are red flags in the beginning, 95% of times those things will not get better. They will simply get worse. For example here, if you really like getting flowers, if that's one thing that you really enjoy, or you really like handwritten letters, okay, and the guy you're with is unwilling to do that for you in the beginning, the chances of you getting him to do that later on, I think, are less than 2%, less than 1% maybe. Because if you think about this honestly, like it's so simple, but relationships tend to regress in terms of effort, care, volume of acts that you do for each other, that kind of thing right there. So if someone's not doing what you want in the beginning, to expect them to somehow come to that point one day in life because you're going to teach them and you're going to develop and get this great relationship together, and you're going to commit all this emotional labor to them to make it happen, it's just never going to happen. And then you spend so much time in this relationship right here that you are settling, and like I said, you're confusing the history with the compatibility. And then it's like you look in the mirror 6 months later on the road and you're kind of like, what is happening in my relationship? What is going on with me? And like, where is love? Is love even real? And you doubt all these questions, but it's because you're looking for love in the wrong places, in the forms of wrong people. Potential is not personality, okay? That's not a thing right there. And especially, I'm coming to you as someone who's 20. I'm much more, experienced in the younger dating world. But if we look at older guys, especially too, like if someone's 27, 28, 29, 30, and they're still like figuring it out, like that right there, that's a major red flag in itself right there. So those are the kind of things you just steer clear of. But then even if you're younger, like I said, the overarching thing here is just the settling, like the thinking that things that you want out of your dream guy that you're not getting, settling and thinking it's okay because one day you're going to fix it later on. That is what ultimately is just taking you on that pathway of never finding the right person and always kind of just like bouncing around, looking, and then ultimately just questioning if love's real, if this guy exists. But I promise you, he is out there. It's just you're not willing to actually put your foot down and say like, look, if you can't give me what I want, I'm going to leave. Not because I have an ego, because that's one thing that can be confused here, okay? Because it does not mean you have an ego. It does not mean you're cocky or bossy or any of these things are here. It simply means that you are not willing to waste your time or waste his time, because there's nothing wrong with that at all. Because that's one thing about relationships. Things would be so much smoother and so much better if everyone could be willing to admit, this is what I want, this is what you want. If I can't give you this and you can't give me this, let's call it off. Simple enough. Some things, like obviously, yeah, relationships, you can work through them. It's love. That's part of the growth. There is working through tough times and difficult times. But the reality of it is here is like compatibility is the huge thing where you might have a thing where you just cannot have a guy has a girl best friend or girls in his life that are not you. There are millions of guys who do not have things like that going on in their life at all. And that guy right there, if he's unwilling to change, realistically, you're going to find better compatibility in any of the other billions of guys who are willing to say, okay, I don't have this in my life. Let's make it happen. Let's have that compatibility there. I think part of it is nowadays we underestimate the power of compatibility and the power of just having the boundaries to say, you're not what I want. I'm not what you want. Let's move on. No hard feelings, no disrespect. You're a cool person, but you're not the person for me, because that's the thing is like love and relationships is it's so deep. Like you are the person for me. We are the people for each other. And there's no really room for that whole like you shouldn't be feeling indifferent. You shouldn't feel like you're settling. You shouldn't feel like you're getting a bad deal on something. You should feel like you are springing into this loving feeling of compatibility and joy. But now we're going to talk about the second part, which is ultimately also where you find that dream guy, like where it happens. Ultimately, you will find your dream guy where he should be, in the places that make him the dream guy. I know it sounds dumb. I know it sounds simple, but I can look at this from a guy's perspective of talking about people that I know, a lot of my friends looking for, the right girl, the right one, all these things. And it's like, dude, you want this Christian girl with all these values and all these morals and lack of guys in her life and all these things, but you're looking for her in the club, in the bar. It's like, that's one thing that I think I can apply to you guys as well, because if you're a girl watching this, maybe I don't understand, what you're looking for the most, but I think I can just tell you that I want you to think, what you want in life. Do you want a guy who goes to the gym, who works out, who lives a healthy lifestyle, who cares about his family and that kind of thing? You should look in places like the gym, strike up conversations there, meet people, and just kind of have them as like friends and acquaintances, and then kind of like filter them out as you go. Maybe hang out, go on a date, that kind of thing, and really just meet the person. Obviously, dating apps are a huge one too, but that I think it's hard because people can really kind of play you on who they are. But then another example, it's like if you're looking for a really godly Christian man, go to church, strike up conversations. And I know it can be hard, and I know you can fall for that kind of thing where it's like women shouldn't be chasing, they should be getting chased. If that's what your idea is, that's fine. I'm not gonna go at you with that right there. I'm just gonna say though that if you're really looking for this dream person and you're on the search, you should be willing to strike up a conversation with someone, talk to them as a friend, because that's not chasing. Okay, that's just being a normal human being who's willing to make social interaction. But then as you kind of vet the guy and see who he is and what he's interested in, and if he matches the criteria that you have for this dream person, then you escalate things further. And realistically, then he will take the lead, then he'll escalate things. But get your foot in the door by just talking to people that are in places that you think make your dream guy. Because everyone has a type that you want in life. Like if you're some kind of punk rocker who, that's the scene that you like, probably should be looking for him at like a punk rock concert or one of them underground, show places, whatever the hell that is. I don't know. I'm just saying every single type of person that you're interested in, there is a place where they will realistically be, because those places form the habits that then form the activities that then reinforce the traits that they have that make them your dream guy. So go look for them. They're out there. Stop settling. And the last thing I'll close with is to remember, you don't find your dream man by fixing a nightmare. You find him by refusing to settle. I hope you enjoyed this video. This week right here is our dating week. We're going into relationships advice all week long, every single day on the channel. So drop me a like, hit the subscribe button. It means so much. I'm trying to hit 500 as soon as possible. I care for you guys, want the best for you, and let's get